Hello fellow creators, welcome and welcome back to City Gate. Today's tutorial is on how to cut and sew this perfectly padded bustier dress. It's a fitted bustier dress with an invisible zipper at the back as well as a basque waistline. It's actually part two of a cord set, so I made the tutorial on how to sew the yoke top in my last tutorial, and this tutorial is showing you how to cut and sew the dress. So if you like what you see and you want to make your own version of this dress, then make sure you keep on watching. So you first of all want to get your tube top bustier patterns. You want to get your fresh pattern paper, put it on a fold, and then you're going to arrange your tube top bustier patterns as you can see on the screen, ensuring that all the vertical lines are aligning as I did. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your tracing wheel, and then you're just going to trace on those vertical lines as you can see like that. Okay, so what this is going to do is that it's going to enable you to be able to get those lines on your fresh pattern paper. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just marking the points that I see, and then I'm just going ahead to just mark the curve at the top and also at the top. And then once you do that, you want to go ahead to remove the right panel. As you can see, just remove that right panel first, because we're going to be working with the middle panel first. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to extend those lines like so. Just extend them so that you have them all over your pattern. So once you've drawn all the lines, it's time to add the seam allowance to the side of the pattern like so. Okay, so this is just a hack that I do. I just stack two markers and one pencil together, and as you can see, as I'm tracing out the silhouette of the bustier, it's creating another line which is going to serve as my seam allowance. Do you understand? So yeah, that is just what I did. And then you want to take the right panel, you want to place it on the fresh pattern paper, ensuring that all the vertical lines align, and then you want to do the exact same thing like so. Okay, so once you do that, you just want to mark the top part of the right panel and the side seam of the right panel, and then you're just going to extend all the lines together like so. And then you want to label the pattern, and I want to label the lines like so. Okay, so I'm going to be altering the neckline. So as you can see, I'm just going 1.5 inches above my upper bust line. So if you want your bust to be as deep as mine, then you can go ahead to do that as well. So once you go up by 1.5 inches, you're just going to connect it to the side of the middle pattern like so. And then once you do that, then it is time to do the basque. Okay, so for the basque, I just went below my waistline by 5 inches. And then once you do that, you want to connect it all the way to the waist, to the side seam of the waistline like so. Okay, so as it is now, you would notice that I did not extend the lines for my right side panel all the way down. So as you can see, I'm just making that correction so that it's able to hit my basque line like so. So that is just literally it for that. So as you can see, I'm just going ahead to just retrace and use the tracing wheel to just trace it again, so that when I turn it over, I'll be able to see the lines perfectly. So once I turned it over, I just went ahead to mark the lines on the back of the fresh pattern paper, and then I just went ahead to add my hemming allowance at the bottom of the basque, and then I also went ahead to add my hemming allowance to the neckline as well as the armhole curve part. So once you do that, that is literally it for this pattern for the front panel. So you just want to cut it out like so. So just ensure that you cut it out exactly the way I'm cutting it out. Cut it out with the seam allowance so that you have that when you want to start sewing the pieces together. And once you're done with that, you want to go ahead to just transfer all the labels to the new pattern pieces that you have. And then once you open it up, you should have this, and that is literally it for the front panel. So in terms of the back panel, you want to just do the exact same thing that you did, the exact same process that you did for the front panel. So you can just like watch along. So yeah, that is just that for the bustier part of this pattern. making. So for the skirt part, you just want to get your basic patterns and your basic skirt patterns, and you just want to cut them out on your fabric and your lining. And so for the bustier part, for the front panel, we're going to be cutting out the front panel pieces on your velvet fabric, while for the back panel pieces of the bustier, you're going to be cutting it out on your normal patterned fabric. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, I'm cutting it out, I'm ensuring that I am arranging them the way they are meant to be. So that is just one thing that I would suggest that you do, so that when you want to start sewing, you know that all of your pattern pieces are already together the way they should be. So once you're done cutting out all your pattern pieces, the first thing that you want to start with is your bustier, okay, the padded bustier. So the first thing that you're going to do is that you're going to get your lining pieces. First of all, you want to just get this away, like done with, before you start on the real, job. So as you can see, you just want to align your pattern pieces together like so. You want to align them and just pin them down, because you're going to be sewing all the way from the bottom, then you're going to be sewing all the way till you get to the top. Okay, so you want to ensure that you make use of your notches here. So as you can see, you know that we added 1/2 inch of seam allowance to the pattern, so you want to ensure that the exact amount of seam allowance that you added to your pattern, that is what you're going to be sewing with. Okay, so I just had to get my tape rule to just measure that, and once I did that, I just started sewing. So as you can see, you just want to take your time, especially when it gets to like the cup part, the curved part, because you're trying to like make a curve on a kind of straight line. So after you're done with that, you want to go ahead to start working on the actual fabric that we're using. Okay, so as you can see, the first thing that I did was that I ensured that I used gum stay to stabilize my fabric, okay, because I was working with velvet and I wanted it to be a case of, oh, this fabric is stable, it's not like stretching or anything. So as you can see, the first thing I want to do is I want to place the piece up with the wrong side facing up, and then what you're going to do is that you're going to place the gum stay at the part where you can see that the gum is there, the part that is shiny. You want to place it on that wrong side. Okay, so once you iron it on it, you would notice that it would stick on to the fabric. Okay, so as you can see, I've done that for all of the other pieces before, so I just went ahead to just cut it out with the gum stay at the back, and I just like ironed on it more so that it would be properly stable. Okay, so once you're done with that, you want to go ahead to get your wording, because you're going to be padding this. Okay, so you want to get your wording, and then what you're going to do with your wording is that you're going to just cut it out in the exact same shape of the middle panel, like so you want to cut it out in the exact same shape, but you're not going to be extending it the length all the way down. So you just want to stop at where the curve ends, so that it's just not all the way to your stomach and your stomach isn't protruding as well. Okay, so after you're done with that, you just want to do the exact same thing for the side pieces as well. But for the side pieces, since our breasts are not protruding all the way to our side seam, so we just want to just make a little curve with the bust, with the pad, so that it just like curves around your bust, like the way your bust normally curves. So yeah, I just want to make that curve. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a curve. And then another thing that I did was that I didn't want the pad to interfere when I was sewing the top of the neckline, when I wanted to like sew the top of the neckline. So what I did was that I just ensured that I cut the pad, like as you can see, there's like some space between the pad and the actual top of the neckline. Okay, and I would suggest that you just do that as well. So once you do that, you just want to arrange all the pieces together, and then as you're sewing these pieces together, you want to ensure that you're starting at the bottom. Okay, you want to start at the bottom so that you know that everything is going to align at the end of the day. So as you can see, I'm just taking my time. This is on time lapse, you guys. You really do have to take your time to ensure that you're getting all the layers, you're getting everything that you need to get, and everything is just going to turn out perfect at the end of the day. So once I was done with that, I went ahead to give it a nice press. So as you can see, I don't have a pressing ham for now, so I just used my throw pillow in my house, and it actually worked, so you can do that if you don't have a pressing ham for now. So you just want to press the seams open so that everything is just laying flat and everything is looking nice. And you want to do the exact same thing for the lining piece as well. And then once you do the exact same thing for the lining piece, it is time to join the lining piece and the actual piece together. together. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is I want to lay the actual piece down with the right side facing up, and then you want to join the lining piece with the right sides facing each other. Okay, so that is just what you want to do. And then the first thing that you're going to do, because as you can see it's kind of like, you know, a sweetheart neckline, so I really wanted that part to show. So as you can see, I'm just adding, you know, a pin directly in the middle there, and I'm also adding chalk so that I know that, you know, that is where it's going to be, because it's really going to help when you want to start sewing. Okay, so as you can see, I started at that middle point there, so I put my needle in there first, and then I'm starting from the middle. Okay, so I would suggest that you do that as well, so that you know that the middle is going to align perfectly. Okay, so that is just what I did. So once I was done with sewing, so once I was done with the other side, I just went ahead to the next side. So after joining the lining to the actual body piece, you want to ensure that you top stitch on the lining piece itself, and this will just help so that you know that, okay, the lining piece won't be coming out, everything is just going to just stay inside. Okay, so and as you're sewing, you want to ensure that you're always looking to ensure that you are catching the seam under. Okay, so as you can see, I'm always filling in to check, okay, is the seam under as I'm top stitching, and you literally just want to continue this until you get to the middle point, and then once you get to the middle point, stop, and then you can start again. Okay, so this is just so that you'll be able to like get the directions accurately, and once you are done with that, that is what you should have. So you just want to take this to your ironing board and just press to make sure that all the seams are relaxed, and as you can see, they are looking good. Okay, so after you do this, the next step for you to do is to just top stitch on those lines there, like so. Okay, so that will just enable you to be able to make sure that the lining isn't moving around and everything is just laying where it's meant to lay. So you just want to get your pins, and you just want to pin at the sides of the line, like so, at the sides of the seam lines, like so, so that when you are sewing, all the sides are going to be aligned. So as you can see, I'm just top stitching at the side, so I'm going to be making 2 stitches on each line. Okay, so so 1 stitch to the left and 1 stitch to the right, and I'm going to be starting from the bottom, the way I started from the bottom when I wanted to join the pieces together originally. So as you can see, this is what it's looking like, and it's looking so neat, looking so structured. And yeah, that is just literally that for the padded bustier. And as you can see, it's really straightforward. You just have to take your time with this. Okay, so to start sewing your basque waistline, you want to fold it into two, like so, and then you're going to get your bustier piece, and then you're going to fold that into two as well. Okay, so as you can see, once you fold your bustier piece into two, you would already be able to see the triangular line, and then what you're going to do is that you're just going to transfer that triangular line to your skirt pattern. Okay, so you can just get like a ruler, just to make sure that the line that you are creating is actually accurate and it's not moving around. So once you do that, and then you just want to do the exact same thing on the other side of the skirt, so that you know that you have the triangular line on lockdown on both sides. And once you do that, you just want to go ahead to cut a little bit above the line that you created. Okay, so this is so that you'll be able to have the seam allowance for actually joining the basque to the waistline of the skirt. Okay, so for this one as well, you should start from the middle. Okay, so that you would be rest assured that the basque is going to be exactly in the middle, and the, you know, point is going to be exactly in the middle. Okay, so as you can see, you first of all want to make a straight line. Okay, you want to make a straight line like so before you now actually start the sides. So as you can see, I'm just aligning it like so, and then after you're done with that, you keep your needle in, but you're just going to turn the direction of your sewing machine to actually sewing the sides. Do you understand? So that is just what you want to do. So once you're done with the first side, then you're going to start again with the other side. Okay, so as you can see, I'm starting with that straight line there, like so, and then once you and then once I did that, then I just turned the direction of my machine to the other side, and I started sewing. Okay, so as you can see, that is literally all that needs to be done for this. Okay, so once you're done with the front panel, it's time to do the back panel. Okay, so for the back panel, as you can see, as I said before, I arranged the fabrics as I was cutting the pieces as I was cutting, so it was just for me to just join them together. So I started with sewing the lining pieces of the back panel bustier together. So as you can see, I just ensured that I was in line with the seam allowance that I put on the pattern. And yeah, that is just that. So you just want to do that for the lining, you want to do that for your and for the actual fabric pieces. You want to take them to your ironing board to just press the seams open, so this will just make it look more professional and just make the seams relaxed. So once you do that, then you're just going to go ahead to join the actual fabric pieces to the lining. Okay, so you want to join them just at the top alone, so that is where like it has this kind of slant, so you just want to join them at the top alone. And then once you do that, you're going to go ahead to top stitch on the lining piece like we did for the front panel that time. So you just want to top stitch on the lining piece, and you want to ensure that as you're sewing, you are catching the seam on the top stitch that you're creating like so. And once you do that, you just want to take it to your ironing board and just iron the seams again like so. So for the skirts, you just want to arrange the darts. So I had already done all of this in my basic skirt pattern tutorial, so if you don't have that, go check that out. It's going to be linked in the description box. So as you can see, for the back panel you want to go with 13 centimeters, while for the front panel you're going with 10 centimeters. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just marking that triangular line with the chalk and just making sure that everything is already marked before I actually start sewing. So once you've already marked everything, it's just to start sewing and sewing and sewing until you sew all the darts. And once you sew all of the darts, you want to take it to your ironing board, and then you just want to press those darts to the right side. And then once you do that, that is that for the darts, and you can go ahead to start joining the lining piece with the actual fabric piece. Okay, so I'm only going to be joining these pieces together at the hemline first. So as you can see, you're going to be joining them with the right side facing each other, so that when you open them up, you're going to be able to see the right side. Okay, so once you do that, you just want to take it to your ironing board as well and just iron it. So as you can see, we're ironing as we're saying we're ironing, because it just makes all of the difference. So you just want to iron and iron and iron. So once that is done, you want to arrange your back panel pieces like so. Okay, so you want to have the bustier parts at the top and then the skirt part at the bottom. So as you can see, I went ahead to overlock all of the raw edges aside from the side seams. Okay, so once you do that, then you're just going to join the bustier back panel with the matching skirt. So and then once you do that, it's going to make a straight stitch all over there like so. And then once you make that straight stitch, this is what you should have. So once you do that, you just want to go to your ironing board and just iron the seams open. I wanted to ensure that the back of the dress didn't have that thing where the zipper will be like protruding and coming out. Okay, so I did this extra step. So as you can see on the waistline, I went inwards by half an inch, but that's just too much. I would suggest like 0.25 inches. We would normally have 1 inch for zip allowance, right? So what you want to do is like want to add 0.25 inches to that 1 inch. So in essence, you're going to be marking 1.25 inches on your waistline. Do you understand? While for the top of the dress of the piece, as you can see, you want to measure the normal 1 inch that we normally leave for zip allowance, and then you're going to mark that exact same thing, you know, about like 5 or 4 inches below the waistline. So as you can see, that just like created a curve. That is the curve that we're going to be sewing the zipper on. Okay, so once you do that, then you want to get your zipper, and then you want to arrange your zipper. Okay, so when you arrange your zipper, the first thing that you're going to do is that you're going to put the zipper facing up and it's open. You just want to go ahead to just turn it over to the right side, and then once you turn it over to the right side, then you just want to just pin it down. Okay, so as you do this, you want to pin it down. As you're doing this, you know, you pin it down, you pin it down, you pin it down until you get to the bottom, and then you do the exact same thing for the other side as well. And I would highly recommend that you try to zip it up now, like right now, rather than you sewing it down and you realize that, oh, okay, maybe you didn't get the arrangement properly. Before you start sewing it on the dress, you want to ensure that it's be able to zip up. So as you can see, once I was done pinning it down, it zipped up, so I knew that okay, my arrangements were accurate. So you just want to do that, and then after you do that, then you can take it to your sewing machine to sew. So as you can see, I was working with an invisible zip footer for this project because I just wanted it to be as neat as possible. But you don't actually need to use an invisible zip footer, but if you have it, just use it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just sewing and just ensuring that everything is aligned, and I'm sewing in line with the markings that I put on the dress. And once you do that for one side, you want to do that for the other side as well. And then once you do that, you should have something like this. So the next step is just to just connect that seam there all the way to the bottom of the dress, like so. But you're going to leave 6 inches above the hemline for the slit, okay, because you know that it's a fitted dress, so we have to have a slit. Okay, so you want to just mark 6 inches above the hemline, and then once you're sewing from that point there, you're just going to go ahead to stop at where you marked. Okay, so as you can see, I actually used another footer for this just so that I can sew very close to the zip stitch, but you can use your normal zip footer. Just ensure that you sew as close to the stitch as you can. So as you can see, I left some allowance at the top of the zip. So as you can see, what I'm just doing is that I'm just folding it over the top there, like so, and then just so that it stays put and it doesn't start coming out, and everything is just concealed inwards in the dress. And that is literally it for the back panel. Okay, so what you just want to do now is want to join the front panel with the back panel, just do your shaping, and you guys, that is literally it for this project. That is literally it for this project. As you can see, it's giving. Okay, it's giving, and I really do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you learned something new, you learned a new technique, or if you want to start this from scratch and you've never done anything like this before, I hope this tutorial was able to guide you properly on how to do that. So yeah, that is just after that. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate your support. And you can see, these are the materials that you would need, as I said. So just go and get these, and yeah, just watch this video again and just start your thing. Okay, start your thing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.